A good late afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Sage and you are watching Kalkine TV live from Sydney, and this is the last show of the day, the last trade. And there's no better way to wind down the day than with the latest market close commentary. In today's show, we'll take a look at the overall ASX 200's performance of the day and also explore gainers and losers. And this would be followed by the shares that grabbed the limelight today, such as Collins Foods, Open Pay Group, mining giant BHP Group and many more. Then I'll share the trending updates from the Asian and global markets. And finally, in the last segment, we have a special report on cryptocurrencies. So let's get started. And globally, a myriad of factors grabbed the investor sentiment today. Before diving deep into the market performance at home and beyond, let's briefly understand some of these factors. And firstly, in the US, debt ceiling fears prevail. Investors held out hopes that Congress may yet be able to momentarily extend the federal government's debt ceiling and buy lawmakers time to reach a more permanent solution. In China, power crisis continues. There are reports that the world's second largest economy could be releasing Australian coal from bonded storage in a bid to seek more fuel to relieve its stressed power system. And in Australia, the key banks are facing pressure from activists and some shareholders over their fossil fuel lending to achieve the global goal of net zero emissions by 2050. And the next factor is on the property end. The record low interest rates have put a rocket under the property market. An Australian Prudential Regulation Authority, or APRA, has taken its first step this week to put the brakes on the higher risk mortgage lending and growing household indebtedness. And moving on now to the jobs front at home. Figures released today by the Australian Bureau of Statistics show that payroll jobs fell by 0.7% in the fortnight to 11th September 2021, following a larger fall of 1.5% in the previous fortnight. And lastly, some interesting action can be expected on the ASX as the AGM season kicks off next week. Business updates at a time when the economy will be reopening are bound to fetch investor attention. And now that we understand these macro and micro factors impacting the markets, let's get back to the main agenda of our show. The Australian share market was poised for a positive start to the session today after a volatile Wall Street session, and after roaring up 0.7% at market open this morning and then settling down a bit, the ASX 200 was sitting up again around 0.7% after midday. And while tech stocks were responsible for the ASX's continued gains this morning, resource and energy stocks remained weak after oil prices fell overnight. And finally, the ASX 200 closed up 0.70%. The index has lost 1.03% for the last 5 days, but sits 4.93% below its 52-week high. And 10 of 11 sectors ended higher. Information technology was the best performing sector, gaining 2.30% and rebounding from its recent decline. Let's now take a look at the top gainers and losers of the day. The top performer on the ASX pack was Super Retail Group, gaining 8%. Pilbara Minerals stood at the second position, up 7.7%, after the lithium and tantalite mining company announced the commencement of commissioning activities at the Gaju plant of the Pilgangoora project. Collins Foods soared 6.6%. The stock is trading near its all-time high after the Dutch subsidiary signed an agreement with KFC Europe. AGL Energy and Zip each rose by 5.3%. And in the red zone of the ASX was Whitehaven Coal at the top position, its stock plummeting over 6%. The Star Entertainment Group traded down as well by 4.2%, and a couple of travel stocks also joined the red territory. Sealing Travel Group and Santos down by 2.8% and 1.9% respectively. And also worth the mention, IDP Education was down by 2% today. And it's time for a small break, but do stay tuned with me. I'll be back with more of the trending market updates. Hi, I'm Sage, and get ready to take the crypto ride with me on Kalkine TV. Watch the crypto buzz every Tuesday and join the excitement at Kalkine TV. From Bitcoins to NFTs to Dogecoin and DeFi, we have updates about everything around these digital currencies. Understand the investing rationale and the risks involved In the Space with me, Sage, on Crypto Buzz. Keep watching Kalkine TV. Hello and welcome back. Sage here with the Market Close commentary by Kalkine TV. Let us now take a look at the investors' attention today. And it was certainly on the restaurant operator Collins Foods, who saw its shares rise by over 6% today and near its all-time high. The company's wholly owned Dutch subsidiary Collins Foods Netherlands Management BV has signed an agreement with fast food restaurant chain KFC Europe, a wholly owned subsidiary of Yum Brands. Under a corporate franchise agreement, Collins Foods will be KFC's corporate franchisee in the Netherlands. The deal would enable Collins Foods to develop as many as 130 new KFC restaurants over the next 10 years, taking the total number of stores to 164. Australian conglomerate Wesfarmers today announced that it has acquired 95.1 million shares in healthcare company Australian Pharmaceutical Industries, representing 19.3% of its shares outstanding. The acquisition was made pursuant to the undertaking agreement entered into on the 9th of July 2021 with investment firm Washington H. Soul Pattinson and Company. Wesfarmers remains committed to pursuing its proposal to acquire 100% of the shares in Australian Pharmaceutical Industries by way of a scheme of arrangement, and the company is progressing with its confirmatory due diligence investigations in support of its proposal. Wesfarmers shares rose by nearly 1% today. An Australian-listed US-based buy now, pay later group, sezzle, saw its shares soar by over 9% after the launch of a partnership with US retailer Target. This is an important day for the company, as sezzle shares have struggled this year, falling 18% since the start of 2021. Another buy now, pay later small cap OpenPay group shares were up by over 10% after the company informed that it has sealed a 372 million Australian dollar receivables warehouse facility from Goldman Sachs and Atalaya Asset Management. The funding triples the company's existing credit facilities. The funds are likely to help OpenPay get traction in the US. And one of Australia's largest logistics providers, Cube Holdings, saw its shares plummet today following news of an investigation by the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. The competition watchdog has launched an investigation into the company's acquisition of the Newcastle Agri Terminal. The deal was executed before the ACCC had a chance to review potential competition concerns. And mining giant BHP Group will make the COVID-19 vaccine a condition of entry to its Australian workplaces from January. And today the nation's biggest mining company notified staff that they must be fully vaccinated by no later than January 31st to access all sites and offices. The notice came after a review of BHP's health protocols and the latest scientific evidence that widespread vaccination saves lives. Mayne Pharma Group has been asked to produce more details about its new contraception product to the US Food and Drug Administration, or FDA. The product is a generic version of the new varying device, and the company stated that the FDA's questions do not relate to the production facility or manufacturing of the product. In the past 6 months, Mayne shares have been down over 23%. Endeavour Group saw its shares fall by nearly 2%. The company's hotels managing director Bruce Matheson Jr. is unexpectedly resigning. A recruitment process will soon commence to find a suitable replacement. And now it's time for another small break, but do stay tuned with me. I'll be back with more trending market updates. Property by Kalkine. Looking for a dream home? Well, that may sound easy, but it isn't. And from looking for a property that is the right fit for you in terms of cost and other factors, to zeroing down on the right mortgage plan, there are various aspects to consider. And for the latest lowdown on the property market, tune in on Kalkine TV with me, Sage. I will give the latest updates on the property market as well as real estate stocks to help you make the right decision. Keep watching Property with Kalkine. Hello and welcome back. Sage here with the Market Close commentary by Kalkine TV. Let us now move on to the next segment and understand the Asian and global markets performance. Asian shares rallied today, gaining courage from the late recovery on Wall Street after American politicians appeared near to a temporary deal to prevent a federal debt default. And besides that, Russia's reassurance to Europe on gas supplies is also calming the volatile markets. Oil prices have dropped back from multi-year highs, contributing to the week's equity sell-off. And as a cherry on the sundae, the US benchmark Treasury yields and major currencies have also steadied. Now that we understand the market movers and factors, let's understand the share market stance. And the MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan rose 1.25% in the early trade. There were gains in share benchmarks in Korea of 1.3% and Hong Kong by 2%. While Chinese markets remained closed for a holiday, Japan's Nikkei rose 0.89%. Beyond Asia, the S&P 500 rose by 0.4%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up by 0.3% and the Nasdaq gained 0.5%. And we've now reached the last segment of the show. Let's take a quick look over the buzzing crypto markets performance. And the universe of the digital assets is too large to ignore at the moment, isn't it? The global cryptocurrency market capitalization is currently around US $2.28 trillion. Bitcoin, the world's biggest crypto by market value, hit its highest level since mid-May yesterday. In the US, as bulls bid up the cryptocurrency after it broke the US $50,000 mark in the previous session, mounting institutional interest. And notably, Bitcoin has risen further since to $55,000 US. With its latest rally, Bitcoin has broken through to key resistance levels. And enthusiasm for crypto is gaining traction on Wall Street despite its many controversies. For instance, China issued a blanket ban on transactions, and the American financial watchdogs are examining some of the biggest crypto exchanges. Besides that, expectations that the US could soon approve a futures-based Bitcoin exchange-traded fund, or ETF, are among the main factors powering the cryptocurrency higher. And thank you for your company on that report. But that's a wrap, folks. Hope you found the market closing commentary informative. We'll be back on tomorrow live from Sydney at 9:30 in the morning with our first report on the pre-market scenario. So take care, stay safe till then. This is Sage signing off.